This video from Moyers and Company, called How People Power Generate Change, interviewed several different social activists to hear their views and opinions. They first started by interviewing Marshall, who is the founder of the Leading Change Network. He talked primarily about how organization is the root of social movements, and social movements are all about the power of story and its narrative. Marshall was a student at Harvard who dropped out, started working with social movements and other people to help them find courage, solidarity, and hopefulness. Then he later went back to school to become a teacher. He talks about how social movements are important because they allow for the plausible to happen, not necessarily just what is probable. Sometimes the underdog does win. The video talks about how Marshall hears a lot of people say, "I can't do it," or "it can't be done." But he believes the important lesson in all social movements is when people figure out how to do it, how they understand power and figure out their own strategy. The second portion of this video, Moyers and Company interviews two other social activists, Madeline Janis and Rachel LaForest. These women believe strongly in a living wage, that people need to have enough money for housing and living. They talk about homeowners and renters who are facing foreclosure, and they are fighting for housing that is affordable for all. These women agree with Marshall that the first thing that needs to be done in any social movement is organize. The living wage in any social movement is a process and requires good support and a good culture. The first thing that I learned from this video regarding social movements is, like Marshall said, social movements are stories. He strongly believes in the power of stories, how all social movements need strategy, structure, but most importantly, narrative. Social movements, like stories, rearrange meaning, find the good, and have a cultural piece of work. Stories and social movements both have the emotional power to move people to take action. They show the values we share as a community, and together we use these values to take action. Stories have a moral, political, and economic dimension. The second thing I learned from the video were the three questions Marshall took away from the rabbi regarding social movements. The first question was, "If I am not for myself, who will be for me?" Which talks about how we need to ask ourselves, what do we value and have to contribute to society? The second question is, if I am for myself alone, what am I? We are in the world for our relationships with others. The third question is, if not now, when? The time for action is always now. Through action, we learn what we need to learn in order to act effectively. These questions suggest that social movements aren't about knowing, but about learning. We learn through our experiences with others.